Hi guys, welcome to Little Bears, and today is going to be Wagon Wednesday. As you can see, I like wagons. That's a lot of what I build and have built, and I want to do a couple build series on Demolition Derby one, converting this into a 92 Oldsmobile, and then restoring this one, which some of you might not call a station wagon, as it is an ambulance. It has a body in the back of it, but to me, it's still a station wagon. It's got 4 doors and a hatch. If it was a 3 door, it'd be a Suburban or a hearse. So, that, at least in my opinion, it would be. But this one needs quite a bit of work, as the A pillars have been smushed. It's been laid over. Oh, the A pillars have been laid over quite a bit. I got fixed window posts, and then the plastics all fell out. But this one needs quite a bit of work. I got this at Circle City Show 2 years ago. But that should be a fun one to redo. I'll probably end up cutting the hood open and giving it an engine. But there's that one. This one is to help some of the kids that I've had ask how to convert or how to do creasing. I plan to crease the quarter panels and crease the front fenders and make it into a demolition derby car. I'll show modifying the suspension. This chassis is not the chassis I'll use, but I'll show how doing all that. I'll show how I want to make my door panels and cover all that, and then show fixing that, because when I do the creasing of the quarter panels, I'll have to fill this in to make it look more accurate to a station wagon like that. I'll have to put the rear taillight panels in and everything. This wagon I'm trying to have done for freeze frame March 7th. I will try to get a flyer for it in the next couple weeks. I'm doing a fade. I had it already painted and everything, but I messed up the fade and ended up having to strip it again because I messed up the door panel. This car was rough. So I just ended up stripping it and repainting the whole entire thing again. But just going for a modern look on, I wouldn't necessarily call it a lowrider, but just a cruiser on airbags. So what I'm going for with it. This wagon was started by Caden. I can't remember his last name. His first name's Caden, but I got it off of him. It was all baby blue. The quarter panels was ripped apart and broke, and I painted it red. There's the baby blue. The engine's not even attached in this car. It's just a shelf piece. It's nothing of spectacular wonder. But there's the baby blue that the whole entire car was. But I built a little 4.3 for it, because technically this would be classified as a compact car. And just did a simple, I didn't even detail it none at all. But I built the headers for it. This car was mainly to practice on and learn how to do the door skins ripped apart like that right there. And I mainly bought it because it was already, a lot of the damage was done, so I could learn how to do better damage on it, or learn how to do better damage on other cars. So, but I give him the credit for most of it. I went through and fixed a couple spots, and like the pillars were broke back here. These weren't even attached at all. The pillars back here weren't attached at all. So I went through and fixed all that. Added a bumper. Like, it don't even have a dry shaft. It's just a really crappy build, but it looks good on the shelf with the other derby cars and stuff. But it is a station wagon, so it's getting posted today. This one is going to Sparky's Model Works. He's building a diorama for junkyard, or building a junkyard diorama, and I sent it to him and asked him if he'd be interested in it, and he's going to put it in his junkyard. It was a poor. I really wanted to make it a nice car, but it was a 3D printed that got warped really bad. It don't even like it's rough, but it was a fun. I was trying to test to see. I wanted to make it look like it was been sitting in the woods forever. So I was trying to attempt to make moss and really epically failed at it. But with his work, I'm sure he'll make it look really good in his junkyard. It's just a derby car that never got ran, that got parked in the woods and grew up with a bunch of moss on it. Now, this wagon here, I was building for Wisconsin. I can't remember that show. MSM, Midwest Model Madness, up in Wisconsin. So, our theme was station wagons, and I really wanted to build something different that's not really been done. So that's why I went with this 56 or 57, I can't remember the years exactly, Chrysler 300 wagon. And I was building it more to some of the derby guys will remember demolition derbies. And one of our buddies that does the demolition derbies, he was talking about how back then a car ran with a blower setup. So that's why I went with a blower. This car was really one of the first cars I tried to do lots of details on. Not lots, but detail on. I wired the motor. Let's see, I can't get the body off. The body's glued. But let's see if I can get the camera to focus. I detailed the seat, put wires in the battery and everything, and then I did on the weld seams. I did weld seams on all the patches and tried to stimulate that. So that's some stuff I'll cover on another build on how to do. But this car was my first really practice on all that. Weathered the chassis, beat it up and stuff. My buddy Kevin Couch pointed out that I forgot to remove the gas tank. Derby cars don't run with gas tanks, so that's something I have to remember to do on my builds, is removing gas tanks. But I wired the transmission in like how we do on the derby cars a lot of times, so we wire the transmissions in like that for when the motor starts to move, because after a derby the front will start to go up and be bent all up, and that gives the transmission space to move, so you don't crack the bell housing as easy. But I used a lot of old school snow tires. That's what my dad always ran in his demolition derby cars, so that's what I put on a lot of my builds. And then I'll show in videos how to wire. I did the wiring for the windows. That is really, really small gauge wire. When I get more in depth on a build, I'll show you the wiring I use. But the gas tank is, try to get the camera to focus, it's all wired and plumbed. Get the focus. Yep, there we go. Now you can see the wiring and focus, or wiring for that, and the hose for the fuel. And then on an extra detail I added was I bolted that transmission in. So I put the bolts through the bottom and then added them inside of the car so you could see them, which I'm not, without moving everything you won't be able to see it. But this one I was pretty proud of. I trimmed the trim off of it and drilled the holes out for the trim line, like it had the door replaced at one point. Bear Den is just a business that I drew up in my mind. It's not a real place. But there's that one. Now, like I said, this one is going to require quite a bit of work, as I got to cut this whole section out Because on Oldsmobiles, Custom Cruisers, and Buick Roadmasters, this section is cut out for a little moon window. But as I can show now in the better quality, this wagon's rough. And if I cut that all out, that'll help me because I'll have to put filler putty in on all those sections. And then cover like the back window right here. I was going to use, where'd it go? This Bondo glazing putty. I've used it for a long time on it, but I'll go try maybe some other stuff because it works very good. I want to try some other product, get out there and try different products. But I'll probably end up cutting this out and putting one from a kit like this in because that's poor. That's really rough right here. So I'll just cut it out and put a new one from a fresh car or a car I cut up to make a wagon. But this chassis I probably will use in this car because this is the correct chassis for it, which is out of the 90s Caprice snap tight kit, and build it to the best I can, a replica of my first car. But that's Wagon Wednesday for you guys. Any tips, advice, I appreciate it. I had a few guys let me know that my audio was a little quiet, so I'm hoping this shows up louder because I'm closer to the camera, and that's why it's in a different position now, is I'm trying to get my audio to be more clear. And if you guys notice anything else, please let me know. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I want to learn and do this as best as I can so you guys can get good quality. Have a good night. I appreciate it. Thank you.